Lori, is it acceptable for the Lieutenant Governor to start the meeting?
Yes, Director, I believe that would be appropriate in this.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, you want me to start the meeting?
Lieutenant Governor, would you mind opening the meeting?
Sure.
Thank you.
Welcome. All right. Well, thank you. My name's Stavros Anthony. I'm the Lieutenant Governor for Nevada, and I will go ahead and start the meeting. So, first of all, welcome all of you. Call to order.
And then you'll give a quorum?
Governor Joe Lombardo. Lieutenant Governor Stavros Anthony.
Here.
Controller Andy Matthews.
Here.
Member Virginia Valentine.
Here.
Member Stephen Esquaga.
Here.
Member Justin Kalb.
Here.
Member Gary Perea.
Here.
Lieutenant Governor, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Item number 2 is public comment. The first public comment is limited to comments on items on the agenda. No action may be taken upon an item. Let's see, we'll impose 3 minutes. So this is public comment for an agenda item today. So I'll open up the public comment. How do you do public comment?
Generally, what we'd like to do is have anyone interested in public comment register. And at this point, we don't have anybody registered in Carson City here for the first public comment period. Jeff, how about Las Vegas?
We do not have anyone here.
Okay, so nobody, anybody not registered want public comment? Anything? Okay, I will close public comment. We'll go to item number 3, the director's report.
Thank you. For many of you, most of you know me, but I am the new director, recently appointed, Tracy Larkin Thomason. Very pleased to be back and looking forward to reconnecting with my colleagues both here in the South and in the North. So now I will move right into our report. Generally, the meeting starts off with some safety stats, and I just want to kind of continue with the point of just making sure that we know that this is our top priority and just kind of keep it in the back of our mind. So in good news, overall in 2022, we saw a 1% drop in overall fatal crashes compared to calendar year 2021, and more than a 2% drop in the number of crashes for the same year period. And while speeding and impairment are the leading contributors to crashes in the new year, unrestrained fatalities have also risen. So we've had 14 fatalities this year for being unrestrained. Looking at some of the other safety statistics, there was a 28% increase in crashes in Clark County between January 2022 and January 2023, and a 40% increase in crashes throughout the entire state for the same time period. So there's still work to do. However, when we compare January 2023 to January 2022, there's been almost an 11% increase in fatal crashes. So hopefully that trend continues. Now an update on the biggest project in the state. So we're going to talk about the I-15 Tropicana Interchange. The Tropicana is complete. So last month we completed Tropicana, which included an 8-day closure of Tropicana Avenue and a 3-day closure of I-15. We do want to thank the public for their patience and the press for helping getting the word out. The crews demolished the north half of the Tropicana Bridge over I-15, as well as a portion of the flyover from southbound I-15 to eastbound Tropicana. The ramps from southbound I-15 to Tropicana will remain closed during this phase, westbound closed until the fall of 2023, and eastbound closed until mid-2024. The Tropicana was reopened with a reduced capacity and a temporary diverging diamond interchange configuration. And for those not familiar with it, if you look in the bottom left-hand side of the screen, that where you see the red and the purple, that kind of describes how a diverging diamond interchange works. When you cross over, it's kind of like you have a free left, and you go across the structure opposite of what you normally would. It's very efficient for moving traffic, and that will be configuration for the duration of the construction, but it will reopen with a more traditional traffic alignment. And you can get more details on at the website shown on the screen, i15trop.com. Now for public meetings, we just want to put out there that we will be holding public meetings for a couple of projects in the north. The US 395 North Valley's virtual public meeting will be held, several public meetings will be held between the end of February and through early March. And we will then, this project actually goes out to bid this afternoon and will be awarded in 4 to 5 months. And it will add one additional lane to southbound US 95 between North McCarran Boulevard and Golden Valley Road. And this will be constructed in the existing median of the southbound freeway. And then we'll construct additional merge lanes between each freeway ramp in both directions of US 95 between North McCarran Boulevard and Golden Valley, and construct a braided freeway ramp along northbound US 395 between Panther Valley, on-ramp and Golden Valley for safer, smoother traffic. And as many of you know, this area has blown up in several years, so it has been long waited, and looking forward to see it go moving forward. Also, Pyramid Highway widening will also be held several meetings to keep the public apprised of how it is moving forward as the construction starts, and it will be awarded next month in March. It widens approximately 1.5 miles of Pyramid Highway from Queenway to Los Altos Parkway from 4 to 6 lanes, and reconstructs approximately 1 mile of existing 4-lane highway. Constructed then another 10-foot wide shared use path and 5-foot bike lanes from Queenway to Golden Valley Drive. And it also includes the installation of smart traffic signals and sidewalk, bicycle lanes and a shared use path, and screening and sounding walls as some enhanced drainage. Now for something that becomes near and dear to my heart, because this is where, when we're talking about the storm impacts, this is where I think NDOT has always really shined on there when we have emergencies, and we have certainly had enough due to the weather. What you're seeing there is a stretch of a 400-foot stretch of SR 208 in Wilson Canyon with the rock slide coming over the highway. This took place on January 10th, and we've had basically the following more. Our geotechnical engineers were out there and initiated evaluations, and what you're seeing now is rock scaling to, and they've already moved over well over 1,000 cubic feet of rock and debris, and it continues to, as it moves on. The scope can change as it moves on, because as you start to rock scale, you don't really know what you're uncovering, so it can loosen up more areas. And then we also will then make we'll do additional rock scaling, and then also some additional treatment with in the river there, just to bring it back to the appropriate environmental precondition. And then on roadbed repairs, just throughout the Northwest, we basically have several emergency contracts going out, and that's safety repairs to eroded roadside slopes on US 95 and SR 207, which is Kingsbury grade in Douglas County, and also in southern parts of Washoe County on Holcomb Lane and Lakeside Drive. We also are doing an emergency contract for guardrail along the northwestern Nevada, and that was a guardrail that's been damaged by literally cars that have slid and slipped into them and torn most of them up. So that's in Tahoe along I-580 and the valleys up there. There's another one where we have filled over 320 cubic feet of potholes just due to the weather. And this is all the snow, the freeze-thaw cycles, etc. We're working on an emergency contract for culvert cleaning. Again, all the sediment that was pushed down as the snowfall has then melted, pushed it into the pipes. We need to get that out, because as more snowfall melts, we need to make sure we alleviate any potential flooding, or as much as possible. We also have additional guardrail repair going on for I-580 and US 95 and I-80. And then recently we're doing another contract for an I-80 emergency concrete repair when a semi crashed into the median barrier rail in Reno last weekend. And then to also put forward a little bit of grants, the things that we have been working on. For FY 2023, the grant requests were the lead applicant for the downtown Ely project for the RAISE grant from FHWA. And this is phase 2 to reconstruct US 50 and US 93 through the downtown area into a more complete streets concept. The total project cost is $42 million with a grant request of $24 million. The local share will come from state funds, the city of Ely, and $5 million earmark. And this grant is due on February 28th. And then we're doing a federal-state partnership for an intercity rail program. And this is the application for Brightline. I'm sure most of you have heard about this down here in Southern Nevada, from Las Vegas, Nevada to San Bernardino, California. The total project cost is approximately $8 billion with a grant request in the range of $1 to $2 billion. This grant is now due April 21st. And just as a side note, that is no highway funds are going into that, but we are administering the project. In federal year 2023, we are also supporting other agencies with their grant requests. RTC of Southern Nevada has a grant application for electrification to equity project to purchase 6 battery electric buses and construct 3 charging stations and enhance transit amenities and extend the 3 electric the routes of 2 bus routes in underserved communities. The total project cost is $12.4 million with a grant request of $10 million, a 20% match. And then also for RTC of Southern Nevada, they're resubmitting a planning grant application for the Charleston Boulevard High Capacity Transit Corridor. And this project includes transit planning, preliminary engineering, and environmental clearance for 16.9 miles of Charleston Boulevard from Pavilion Center Drive, Summerlin, to Nellis Boulevard in East Las Vegas. Total project cost is $9.8 million and a grant request of $5.9 million, so 40% match. And then also in Washoe County, RTC of Washoe County is submitting a grant application for the Lemon Drive segment of 2 improvements and resiliency project that will help reconstruct 3.7 miles of Lemon Drive between Fleetwood Drive to Ramsey Way to improve safety, construct dedicated bike lanes, and a separate multi-use path. The total project cost is $49.2 million and a grant request of $25 million with a 49% match. And then outstanding, the department did put in for a National Scenic Byways program with FHWA, a grant to reestablish, fund, and manage the Nevada Scenic Byways program. By the way, a fact, did you know the Strip is a scenic byway? Literally. I think that's pretty cool. The total cost of implementation is $1 million with a grant request of $600,000, and this was submitted in June of 2022, so we are waiting to hear back from them. And then at this point, on the legislative updates, just very quick, I think everyone knows the legislative season began last Monday, February 6th. We are giving our presentation to the Assembly and Senate Growth and Infrastructure Committees on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week. Of this week. And then also, we only have one bill that we put forward, AB 556, which is basically shoulder passing. So that basically legalizing what we already do now, but emergency vehicles and transit can pass on the shoulders on the right side of vehicles. And then the last thing I'm going to say here, I wanted to make sure that my director's report was shorter than the agenda, but the state preservation report is out. It is part of our reporting requirements to the legislator every other year. So basically when the legislative session is in, we turn in our reports. And this was delivered to legislature at the end of last month in January. That concludes my report. No, it doesn't. Yes, it does.
All right.
Thank you for your patience.
Are there any questions from the board? All right, seeing no questions. Before we go to the consent agenda, section 2, we'll go to section 3. I believe there's an item that needs to be pulled from the consent agenda. Board member Valentine?
Lieutenant Governor, I would ask that the minutes be pulled from the consent agenda.
Okay, that's item number 4. So we'll pull item number 4 from the consent agenda, and let's go ahead and take would somebody like to make a motion and a second on the January 9th, 2023 minutes?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay.
January 9th.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Second.
person I'd like to note be abstaining because I did not attend the January meeting.
Thank you. Have a motion, a second. I will also be abstaining because I did not also attend that meeting. So all those in favor say aye.
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 I did want
Yes.
to point, we
Sorry.
have lost visual down here in southern Nevada.
Okay. We're still here. Okay, the motion carries on the minutes, so hopefully somebody will fix that for you. All right, now we have section 2 consent agenda items number 4 through 13. Actually, items number 5 through 13. Are there any questions or comments from the board on the consent agenda?
Lieutenant Governor, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. The consent agenda is passed. We'll go to item number 14. Executive session. Are we, is there a reason for having an
Lieutenant Governor, we reserve this for things for like legal, anything that happens with legal, but we do not have any items for this. It is a placeholder.
Thank you. Item number 15, public comment, a period devoted to comments by the general public about matters relevant to the board's jurisdiction will be held. No vote may be taken on a matter not listed on the posted agenda. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. State your name, spell your name. So is there anyone registered during public comment?
Lieutenant Governor, we have about 12 individuals that are registered for public comment for this public comment period. What we'd like to ask them to do is to develop a short line on the left-hand side of the room approaching the podium. Approach the podium one at a time, state your name and your public comment, please.
So 12 people up here in this room?
Correct.
Okay, so we'll do this room first. If you could do that, just line up the 12 folks. I appreciate it. And then once we're done up here, we'll see if there's anybody in the South or anywhere else in the state that has public comment. And who's doing the 3 minutes? Where do I see it? Okay, great. Okay, if you could state your name and spell it, and then you'll have 3 minutes. Appreciate it.
Riley, R-I-L-E-Y. I'm a registered professional engineer and have had experience with building numerous infrastructure projects, starting with Highway 108 bypass in Sonora in the mid-'80s and ending with the 405 $1 billion plus widening in the 405 between the I-10 and I-101 in Southern California. The 405 was a very tight design build project, confined. We had dozens of high retaining walls and had to relocate numerous utilities. And the 405 is one of the most congested freeways in the country. I live in Glenbrook year-round. I've been frustrated with my responses to date on questions and comments on the Highway 50 project, but I'm hopeful that the recent reset is an indication that this will change. I'm supportive of improving Highway 50. I think the roundabout at Spooner, if it's done right, will be a significant improvement. I've witnessed multiple collisions on that corridor, 2 of which at least were fatalities. So I support addressing access and egress issues, alignment betterments, making the drainage better, eliminating roadside parking. That being said, I see multiple signs that this project is likely to be somewhere between a disappointment and a failure. I say this because of some glaring issues. One example is that I was told in the outreach process that the fire department was against a divider from Spooner down to Glenbrook grade. Fire Chief Scott Lindgren told me last week that that was not true and that they support a divider if it has emergency vehicle turnaround locations. And since safety is one of the major project goals, it makes no sense to me that a divider isn't part of this project. And another example is reducing the westbound lanes just east of the Glenbrook entrance. This appears unnecessary as this is one of the widest parts of this corridor. The lane reduction is going to cause major access and egress problems to Glenbrook, and I'm not aware of any solution. It's also going to cause braking on a downhill portion of the highway that's oftentimes very icy. So having been involved in many large and complex projects, it's my experience that most issues and failures are caused by poor planning and design practices and a lack of comprehensive and diligent review. This project, I don't believe, will be improved by the public comment process alone. All signs indicate to me that this project needs what in the design build world we call a red team review process. This is a group composed of knowledgeable industry veterans empowered to question design and report and affect change. Although it's late in the game, I strongly urge you to implement a red team process. And if it's properly empowered, I would volunteer to participate. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. William Killebrew, spelled K-I-L-L-E-B-R-E-W. My address is 1830 US Highway 50, Glenbrook, Nevada. I'm also speaking toward the Highway 50, what is sometimes referred to as an improvement project, and many of us who live there think it is anything but an improvement, to propose a reduction in the number of travel lanes on the highway. This project is one in which bad ideas never die. We thought we had killed this project 4 years ago, and it's been resurrected again. For the new board members or those who may not be familiar with it, it was primarily proposed by the Tahoe Transportation District and in conjunction with the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency and ultimately also with the Nevada Department of Transportation. It was claimed that this would result in safety, improvements in safety, but it was really driven by the desire to create a bike lane, a continuous bike lane, alternate transportation from Incline all the way to South Tahoe. It would not achieve that, and it certainly would not achieve improvements in safety. Why? You're going to reduce the carrying capacity of the highway by more than half. It isn't just that you reduce the lanes. You're going to take the existing traffic and they're going to be placed in a single lane. So your opportunities to enter the roadway are demonstrably reduced. Further left turn movement, your opportunity to cross that single lane of traffic is reduced. As you have narrowing, anywhere you go from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, you're going to have rear end collisions. You're increasing the potential for accidents. Imagine myself, I am the person that theoretically is going to be the most benefited by this change. My driveway exits directly onto Highway 50, just south of Glenbrook, the highest speed section of this road. I would have to come to the top of my driveway, come to a bicycle lane with both left and right traffic. I have to determine, is it safe to cross into that lane? I then have a concrete barrier I have to stop at. I have to look again to enter the roadway. Crossing a line of traffic that will, instead of being 2 lanes carrying, it's going to be 1 lane. How many accidents will that produce? Also, when you have a reduction in lanes, we have to look at the winter. Now, I know Mr. Esquaga is very familiar with this region, very familiar with Spooner Summit. When we have snow, we lose lanes on the road. Right now today, if we go onto Highway 50 in the Zephyr Cove area, we effectively have 2.5 lanes because of the narrowing of the snow and the inability to remove snow.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
I'm at 3 minutes. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon. Elizabeth Learnhardt, L-E-R-N-H-A-R-D-T, Zephyr Cove. Lieutenant Governor, Director, and board members. Thank you for putting the road diet on Highway 50 to a hold. Please put safety first when you are redesigning your plan. Safety for motor vehicles that need 4 lanes and need a center divider with turning lanes. Safety for bicycles and pedestrians who are better protected away from a busy road. And safety for fire evacuations to enable the use of all 4 lanes in case of an emergency like the Caldor fire without being blocked by concrete borders. I want to believe that NDOT is sincere in their statements to finally give local residents a better and safer highway. No conditions or strings attached. There are plenty of potholes and washed out roads in northern Nevada that need to be fixed after this winter storms. Do not make good road management contingent on vogue and unproven ideas like road diets, microtransit, bike lanes, or the Tahoe One plan by TRPA. Do not force an unworkable public transportation system on us just because it's politically correct right now. Does anyone in this room want to sit up there on Spooner Summit in a warming facility tonight? I don't think so. Death by exposure might not be a good thing to add your casualty list. We all should be able to enjoy Tahoe. Nobody should be forced to trade road safety for recreation. I'm confident once NDOT and TARPA are willing to collaborate with the local communities in a fully transparent manner and declare their true goals, we can find an intelligent and workable solution. Lake Tahoe is a unique place and it deserves a unique solution rather than a patchwork of cookie cutter fixes. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir.
My name is Paul Felton, Felton, and I reside in Glenbrook, Nevada. I've traveled the Highway 50 corridor year-round for several decades. I've learned that this Highway 50 corridor management plan being promoted by NDOT is called a road diet, recognizing the original purpose of widening Highway 50 in the 50s, namely to accommodate increased traffic loads, and noting by all accounts the historical increase in traffic load that will continue in the foreseeable future, I suggest you turn your attention to road augmentation. But the studies and plans cited by NDOT continue to do poorly under examination and strike those of us who use the corridor as incomplete, misrepresentative, and misleading. The data, case studies, and road diets NDOT cites are almost all inapplicable to Highway 50. None of the 25 case studies cited by NDOT considered anything longer than 2 miles, while we're looking at 13 here. The claim that this road diet will reduce travel time by only 2 minutes is not credible. Highway 50 is defined by NDOT as a principal arterial. I've learned that the primary purpose of a principal arterial is to move vehicles, not add a bike lane, not slow down traffic, nope, just move vehicles. Common sense tells us that reducing the width of lanes, reducing the number of lanes, constricting traffic in multiple locations, and forcing multiple merging traffic patterns will not produce net benefits to any of residents, commuters, truckers, and public safety personnel. The adverse trade-offs will be monumental. These features of the road diet being promoted by NDOT will impose serious burdens upon levels of service, travel times, traffic safety, and emissions controls in the basin. And where will NDOT folks be the next time we need to evacuate the basin? Will you be out there with yellow vests and red flags showing us how to use this new and improved road diet in a dire situation? I don't need a traffic analysis based on studies from other states with differing context and data to know that NDOT's road diet means congestion occurs, levels of service decline, start-stop conflicts increase, commercial trucks are challenged by narrower lane widths, and emissions go up. By all means, reduce and/or eliminate roadside parking. Use medium barriers like on Highway 50 from Carson to Spooner. Install a roundabout where Highway 50 meets Highway 28. And by all means, police the corridor more diligently and enforce the posted speed limit. But why guarantee gridlock? Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Good afternoon. My name is Brett Tibbetts. I'm a 12-year resident of Cave Rock, and I am also here to oppose removing 2 lanes from our 4 lanes of Highway 50 to essentially add a bike lane. This is exactly the same plan that the city leaders of Paradise, California and Caltrans put into effect 2 years before the entire town burned down. And when it came time for people to evacuate, they had 2 lanes to get out and they couldn't, and people died in their cars. This is our only way in and out. It's reprehensible to me that that anybody wants to take away 2 lanes. This is not about safety. If it were, a 4 lane is essentially much safer than a 2 lane. The road is not patrolled at all for speed. People routinely go 70 miles an hour. There's nothing done about it. NDOT has tried nothing to bring the speed down, like flashing lights with your speed, or reducing the speed like they have at Kale. The real originator of this in my mind is the TRPA, which is a complete mess. On the one hand, they want to take away 2 lanes, but they keep improving massive projects that will add hundreds of thousands of trips a year to Highway 50.
Have fun.
The 6,000 seat State Line Event Center has yet to open. That will add thousands of trips. They've approved a new condo, 8-story condo at State Line. They've approved a massive condo project at a former trailer park, and they're about to move Barton Hospital from South Lake Tahoe to State Line. Imagine hospital ambulances trying to get in and out on a 2-lane road. So we support improvements to Highway 50, but the 4 lanes have got to be a sine qua non. They have to be there. And I wish the governor was here. The TRPA is a mess. I wish he would appoint a replacement for the former governor's appointee as soon as possible, and someone that can get into the TRPA and have proper management over that organization. Thank you.
What's the TRPA?
The Tahoe Regional Planning Authority.
Okay, thank you.
They have control over the entire lake.
Okay,
Unfortunately, Nevada and California and the counties have given them authority, and they basically run the place.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Hi, my name is Robert Felton. I'm a full-time resident in Glenbrook, Nevada, with my wife and small children. I commute down Spooner every day. I'm going to actually put a bit of a positive spin. I think that the roundabout project is great. I've seen many accidents there. I think it's a really dangerous intersection between 28 and coming down Spooner. I think with a budget of $30 million, you'll probably spend it all there. My hope is that you would fix what's broken. I think you guys have, NDOT's rated it as an F. Fix the F, that would be tremendous, but don't break the rest of the corridor for us, please. Yield the rest of my time. Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm Bob Byron, B-Y-R-E-N, and I reside in Hidden Woods near Cave Rock along the US 50 East Shore thoroughfare. I'm here, like the others, to voice my opposition to the NDOT US 50 Corridor Management Plan. While there are many concerns with this plan, I will focus on just 2, air quality and lake clarity. According to the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency's 2023 Lake Tahoe info page, air quality and I'm quoting here, air quality conditions in the Tahoe region can affect human health, visibility, forest health, and regional lake water quality, including the famed clarity of Lake Tahoe. Primary factors known to influence the region's air quality are motor vehicle emissions, which include carbon monoxide, ozone, and particulates, and they go on and on about other things. And you might ask how motor vehicle emissions could possibly affect lake clarity. And the answer is airborne acidic byproducts, which mix with the lake water and create massive algae blooms. And these are a direct threat to the ecosystem's delicate balance, as well as human health. In fact, we did experience a massive algae bloom just last year that severely impacted negatively the entire lake. The TRPA info page goes on to cite regulation of wood stoves, bike trails, transit increase, they go on and on. But remember, the Lake Tahoe hosts about 15 million visitors a year. and nearly all rely on motor vehicles to enter, exit, and get around the Tahoe Basin. Your plan to reduce the width and number of lanes of traffic on US 50 may reduce average speed, but probably not without proper law enforcement. It will certainly increase transit times during peak hours and infrastructure maintenance. And this will severely impact air quality in the basin, which is already plagued by frequent wildfires, exacerbated by persistent inversion layers that trap pollutants. And Lake Tahoe already suffers from severe traffic congestion in summer months. So much that FOTORS has no listed Lake Tahoe as a desirable destination resort. Highway 50, as the only thoroughfare along the East Shore, is particularly impacted as it carries all the vehicular traffic to and from the airport and the South Shore. As residents that will have to live with the increased congestion, suffer the attendant health problems, and experience the diminishing clarity of the lake water that makes Tahoe so unique, we implore you to consider the alternatives to lane reduction and narrowing of the US 50 along the East Shore corridor. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am.
Ellie Waller, W-A-L-L-E-R. Welcome new members. My opening statement is a segue to the comment on the Highway 50 issues. The state needs to dedicate more funds to Northern Nevada in the way of NHP specifically assigned to this region, enforcement for the sake of public health and safety. I presented verbally before the past board of directors and staff at a previous meeting. The project charter for the proposed US Highway 50 corridor management plan is an agreement between the project sponsor, NDOT, and the following agencies: Douglas County, Nevada Division of State Parks, Nevada Division of State Lands, Tahoe Transportation District, the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, United States Forest Service, Lake Tahoe Basin Management Unit, Washoe Tribe, NHP, and Douglas County Sheriff. The purpose of the project charter is a key document of agreements. I repeat, key agreements between the project sponsor and stakeholders mentioned. The project charter evidences the commitment necessary for accomplishing multi-agency cooperation. How can the project charter not be signed by all collaborating parties and put this corridor management into play? I checked with staff this week and still know that it's not totally signed. The December 22 deadline was published by consultant Wood Rogers in a future study scenarios and considerations report in August of 2022 that was not revealed to the public or to Douglas County or the Regional Transportation Committee. There are more questions than answers, and adequate and accurate analysis is necessary. Frankly, more alternatives need to be explored, plural, more. The study will examine potential multimodal solutions, local and regional transit service, the potential innovative transportation systems needed with the U.S. Forest Service, NDOT, etc. Douglas County has been missing from the table. A recent February 623 article stated that it conducted 50 stakeholder meetings and 775 interactions with stakeholders. A major omission from that article from 2017, over 5 years ago, NDOT conducted interactive meetings. No interactive meetings were recorded in 2022, where the public is outraged and still trying to have you hear us. The elephant in the room is that current stretches of Highway 50 are 45 and 50 miles an hour and mostly not observed. Those posted limits will not be reduced, even though the plans state the goal is to reduce accidents. I don't think they can lower those speeds legally. That needs to be answered. Thank you for your opportunity today.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Wallace, W-A-L-L-A-C-E. I'm a 10-year resident of Zephyr Heights. And I would also like to address this US 50 East Corridor Management Plan. First of all, I want to thank the DOT and Governor Lombardo for slowing the process to look at alternatives to the proposed plan and to also hear and listen to more public comment. However, I have been a little troubled by the representation by various media sources that you are delaying due to recent public opposition, and concerns regarding the lane reduction. I have participated in every single outreach meeting that's been held in our community about the corridor. The first one in 2017, as Ellie talked about, it was a public meeting. They expected 50. There were over 200 residents there. At that meeting and after the great public outcry regarding the suggestion of lane reduction, this project seemed to be be on hold. But more than a year ago, meetings and these outreach sessions began again. The DOT promised a clean slate, a transparent process, and encouragement for input. And I can tell you that at all of these sessions, there was almost complete opposition to lane reduction and bike lanes that hugged this very busy highway. This was not recent dissent. This has been going on for 6 years. The residents of our community, you've heard from many, all recognize the need for change. We just don't agree that the road diet plan is the way to do it. We support many safety and environmental suggestions for our road. We support turn lanes at the busy intersections. We support off-highway parking lots and elimination of any parking along the highway. We support lower speed limits and a strong law enforcement presence along this corridor. We support mass transit for those that want to use that mode of transportation, and we support bike and walk paths, but just not at the expense of reducing lanes that will surely account for more congestion and put our safety at risk in case of an emergency or an evacuation. Highway 50 is our only exit out of town. Please review and respect our concerns carefully and ensure that the safety and well-being of the residents of this corridor, the people that you represent, are kept foremost in your decision-making. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Phil Schloss, S as in Sam, CH, LOS as in Sam, S as in Sam. I've lived in State Line for about 8 years now. I basically am against the Highway 50 for the reasons just stated. Actually, the main one is for fire safety that hasn't been emphasized enough in case of an evacuation, because what seems that I want to bring forward to everybody's mind is in Paradise, California, fast-moving fire, 85 people were incinerated into ash and dust because they had a road diet and they only had one road out when they could have had two. So that's why I stress to not do this. The other reason is because of the costs, and where you have to find the costs here. It's known as the one Tahoe funding diet, and it was done in 2021. So it's relatively current, but then again, it's probably using inflated dollars. And so for the whole region, it's a $3 trillion project, and it breaks down to they're actually short of the $153 trillion, and then that they want to do is use $66,500,000 a year for everybody in the area to pay it off, including the state. So here's the Tahoe Regional Planning Agency, what you asked about, and also there's another agency called the Tahoe Transportation District. Both of these are created by Congress back in 1980 by Act, and it stated out what they can do, what they can't do. And one of them was that they're trying to do is force people out of their cars into mass transit. So that's what we're seeing up here now. And what I think actually what Highway 50 is about, what we're saying is that TPRA is trying to do that artificially through the road diet because it reduces lanes and people can't widen the lanes, which they said they can't do. They can't add asphalt. So what option is left but to take their mass transit? And the thing is, if they impose this mass transit, they do not talk. They give about a paragraph in both sales pitches, both in this one, and actually it's the NDOT comprehensive plan that they had for the public view, and also in the Tahoe, they only give about a paragraph to fire evacuation. Nowhere they talk about how transportation is going to fit in it. In other words, had to fit in a bus, and their microtransit in a fire evacuation. How do they do that? They don't explain how they're going to do that. And matter of fact, is that impracticable to figure that they're going to do it? So anyway, the cost of, they already did Highway 28. They're not done with it. They said they anticipate to be an $81 million project. They're looking for 71 more $1 million, and the state $10 million, I guess, is committed to that. And then here, the corridor we're talking about is a $50 million project. Of course, it's longer than 8. I don't recall, they didn't publish any other information about the state's project and how much anticipated that they're still adding. Then they have transient operations. That's just for, I can't recall if that's for the whole lake, which I think it is. And that's a $157 million project.
Thank you. Thanks for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, ma'am.
My name is Dana Engelkirk, Englekirk. I'm a member of the Skyland neighborhood and a member of the Skyland GID. Good afternoon, Lieutenant Governor, and to the new members. We are supportive of elements that bring safety to our Skyland Highway 50 corridor. And a thank you to Governor Lombardo, echoing the previous comment. Thank you for slowing down this process. And thank you for all of you in the north and south for taking the time and that you've given today to hear these eloquently presented information. And we hope that you would sincerely consider the information that has been given out today. I yield the rest of my time.
Thank you.
I knew you can't do that. For the record, my name is Janet Murphy. That's Murphy. And thank you, Lieutenant Governor and fellow board members. This is my 6th meeting here, and I am 3rd generation Tahoe, and I run the utility district up there. And I believe you all already heard basically our concerns about the utility as far as the sewer lines, as you know, run up and down the highway. I also sit on the fire board, and I also noticed when Mrs. Waller was up here, I guess we're not listed, I guess, as one of the participants, which is ironic because we are the utility district and our utility and infrastructure is up and down the highway. As well as I sit on the fire board up there, Tahoe Douglas Fire Protection District, and she didn't list that either, which I thought was ironic too. Why weren't we a participant in this whole project or venture? But anyway, I just want to say one thing is, as you know, the rest of the routes around Tahoe are 2 lanes, the West Shore, the North Shore. And I would like to think that the West Shore is a main, I don't know how to put it, artery. It is a main artery, so we definitely need 4 lanes. Now, I don't know if all of you have gotten the opportunity in the last 6 months, but I did present an alternative Tahoe Douglas district. And I had also spoken with Darren, who's your second in command here at NDOT, and verified some of his alternatives that he had that we went over that I implemented into the proposal or alternative. And the NDOT proposal, if you're not familiar with or haven't or forgotten, it is 2 lanes going, I want to make clarification, it is 2 lanes going northbound, leaving out. It's 1 lane going southbound because they want to take the furthest east lane, which is near the lake, and convert that into the biking, walking trail, which in their NDOT plan, the lane, the biking lane, there's 4 breaks in it. So it's not even continuous. So you're getting a half-baked plan. But the alternative, which captures everything that NDOT is trying to achieve, and that is safety. And of course, being in utilities, what are we about? The safe, the health, and the welfare of the community and the environment. So the alternative allows narrowing the lanes with a center lanes for people to turning on and off the highway, which is far more safer. It breaks up the oncoming traffic. but it also allows a shoulder of 3 to 4 feet that would allow biking and walking at the same time. So I want you to seriously take that into consideration, that alternative. It achieves the objective that NDOT is trying to achieve. I think that safety is number one. And I clearly know that, managing a utility district sewer that is very near to the treasure, national treasure, we get our drinking water. So,
Thank you for your comments.
all right, thank you.
Appreciate it. Anyone else in the room? Can you help me set up a briefing? Because I don't know anything about this project, so I'd like to learn more about it.
Yes, sir.
Thanks. Anyone from the South? Any public comments from the South?
There's one.
Yes, my name is Chad Dornsife. I'm with the National Motorist Association, and I deal in traffic safety and engineering for the National Motorist Association. I also happen to be a resident of Zephyr Cove. The road diet would be an absolute disaster there in every way you can possibly imagine, and even thinking about putting it through is complete insanity. The problem with this project is that on both ends of it, they have things that would be very beneficial. The roundabout at the casino area would be very beneficial to traffic. It would slow down the speeds and it would increase the traffic. Roundabouts in general slow down the traffic, reduce accidents, but over the distance traveled, reduce travel time. They do both. In the western states a few years ago, there was over 5,000 roundabouts, and there wasn't a single pedestrian fatality in any of them in a single year, in that year. So those are definitely benefits. The road reduction going into Glenbrook, so who's ever done that has never driven that road, because certain times of the year where they're trying to do the convergence zone to go into one lane, the sun is directly into your eyes, and there's been serious accidents coming out of Glenbrook because the operators coming out are trying to look into the sun, look both directions, they can't see, and that's where they want to start the road diet. So whoever's done it hasn't thought about the accident rate or what's occurring. And the last thing is on the speed limits. The 50-mile-an-hour speed limit was set in the as-built in 1956. The actual traffic engineering studies on the 50-mile-an-hour section would support a higher speed limit according to NDOT practices, and the same goes to 45-mile-an-hour zone through the rest of it. The people who use the roadway in the local community is the one who sets the speed limit by the community standard. That's why you have an 85th percentile and you have traffic engineering studies. But as far as sight distance, removing the cars along the shoulder of the road and those type of things would be definitely beneficial because it would remove the conflict zones. But essentially, the road diet just should not and cannot happen because it would destroy the basin.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other comments on the South?
No.
Any comments anywhere else in the state? If that's possible. Okay, thank you for public comment, and we're adjourned.